Welcome to the Dream Design Job podcast, where we help product designers, new and old, connect and adapt to the latest challenges of forging an innovative career in the tech design space. Dream Design Job aims to look at the design careers from a continuously evolving human perspective, because leading human-centered, balanced lives is ultimately what helps us build truly human-centered products. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dream Design Job podcast. And today we have Fiona as our guest, and of course Patrici as well. We wanted to bring Fiona in to provide her perspective on working with people like us, product designers and introduction designers. She is a visual designer, and we wanted kind of closer understanding of what her ideal collaboration process looks like from her perspective, and generally just get to know her style and path to design. So I will pass it over to Fiona to give her intro.
Hi. So again, my name is Fiona. I'm an associate creative director at Level Studios, but I basically just do visual design. Level Studios is an agency and just work with a bunch of different clients to create awesome products and put them out in the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
How did you get your start in visual design, Fiona? I'm curious.
So I guess as a kid, I was always kind of interested in doing art and like drawing and stuff. And I didn't really realize that you could like make a living out of it until probably high school or college when I was like applying to school.
Story of many designer lives.
Yeah. So I went to school at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and my major was graphic communication, which is basically graphic design plus a little extra something else. So we did classes in like business, some like printing stuff. So it was very like all well-rounded, not just design. You like learn design, but also what to do with it. And so, yeah, I guess started out as a kid who liked art and just kind of kept doing it, and then just found myself in this industry.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you did some print back in school, and then you did some digital as well. Did you know whether you want to go one or the other? Like, how did you decide to go digital instead of print?
Yeah, so I actually started out in print. A lot of my jobs in college were print related. I worked at like a photo booth company, working with clients, like designing little logos for their like photo booth strips, so like weddings, it'd be like Tiffany and Patrick, and you'd have that all designed and like all pretty, and it'd be printed out on your photo booth. And then I also worked as like a student assistant at our library for, I would help design posters and like promotional material for events that would go on in the library, as well as like, promotional materials like these are the services that we have, and find out more about, our library stuff. So I was super like into print, and I thought I wanted to do print, but there was a class that I took my senior year that was all about web design, and I learned how to code, and my first job out of college was as a designer / developer.
Oh.
Yeah, so that is, like, after that class, I was just, like, obsessed with coding, like, HTML, CSS. I was just making websites or, like, working on my website, and, like, I knew I loved it because I would start, and then I would just keep coding and designing, and then it would be like 3 a.m. and I was like, I need to go to sleep because I have class at 7 in the morning, right? Like in 4 hours. So I was super lucky to be able to get a job in design or in development, like as a noob, and I learned a lot there. But I realized like working as both the designer and the dev, it was a lot to just be looking at the same thing for like weeks on end. Like, it's really hard to just design something and then also build it out and then ship it. So I pivoted and just went to design, because I had that opportunity there. So that's kind of how I got into the role I am in now.
Cool. Do you still code in your role right now?
I don't, but having that like knowledge has really helped, just like being able to inspect the web pages that we send out, and like I can kind of go in and be like, hey dev, like can you just fix this by like this many pixels, or like change it to this because that's kind of how we want it to look. So I feel like if I were to try to build a website right now, I probably wouldn't be able to do it, but I have like the knowledge of like how to pick apart things and just, you know, make it better. Or like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make it
QA.
better, but I can, you know, nitpick it to make it look like how we want it to look.
Yeah. You started out with like being a unicorn. That's a unicorn role where you know how to design and code.
Yeah, so I wish I stuck to it. It's hard though. It's hard to be a unicorn, you know,
Yeah.
to know everything and do everything, because yeah, when you look at the same thing for like months at a time, you just kind of don't trust yourself anymore. You know, you just kind of go blind to the design that you've created, and you're just like, is this even good anymore? What is this? So it's always helpful to have teammates that you can be like, can you look at this?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah. So why did you move more towards visual instead of like interaction?
Honestly, I didn't even know that interaction design like was a thing. Like it wasn't, I just didn't really learn about it. No one ever really talked about it. Like just it never really came up. And I think I just happened to go that route of like, I was a dev and then I took a step back and just became a designer, or like stuck to just being a designer. And then we would get, you know, wireframes and stuff from you lovely people.
Exactly. There you go.
Like I think I just didn't know that UX existed really. Actually no, that's a lie, because I feel like my boss at the library, they hired her on when I first joined as a UX designer because they were rebuilding the library site. So that was my first like introduction to UX, but I still just was like, I don't know what this is, and like it seems like a lot of research, and I'm not really, that's not really what I do. I just want to make things look pretty. And like at the time my job was more print based and like kind of helping out with the website, but she was like full UX person. But that was like my senior year. I was already kind of like super into coding and just normal web design at that point, so there's just too much to think about.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Makes sense.
So you carved out that niche for yourself without even knowing.
Yeah, I guess so.
So interesting. So now that you are a visual designer who knows that there is UX and interaction, how do you perceive that kind of workflow and collaboration? I think what product designers might be curious to hear is like, what do you think of us? Or how do you work with us?
I think most of my interactions with you guys is like either getting like a lot of strategy, like research from your team, and then kind of working with that to create our websites, or like inform our decisions of like what content needs to go where. Lots of strategy, lots of like analytics that we get. Like, it's great. You guys do all the hard work, and we're like, well, we're just gonna make it pretty. And then just wireframes. Yeah, I think my main, like, what we usually do is whenever we have a question, we're just like, where's Jenna? Jenna's like our UX person. Like, we need to ask her this thing. Like, should we put a button here or here? Or like, do we need this? Because do we even have like people clicking through on this part of the site? And like, if it's not necessary, can we like please remove it? So I feel like you guys just have the data to support our needs to make things pretty, but also sometimes we just ignore you guys and like we're gonna do this anyway.
I was about to say, do you ever make executive decisions and just like put a button there, or like change the color, something that like the interactive designer like or UX designer didn't expect?
I think sometimes we do. I don't know if it's necessarily like changing the colors of a button, because we have, like, for our clients, we have like pretty strict style guides that we follow, and element library assets that we pull from. But I think we usually sometimes like content we're like, this makes more sense here, or like I know that you put like A and B here, but I think it would look better with A and C because of like the assets that we have. So we'll sometimes do that, and then we'll run it by our UX person, and sometimes they're just like, yeah, okay, like that makes sense, like that's fine. And then sometimes they're like, I don't think we can do that. Like we need to change it back. And so that's always really sad when it's just like kind of ugly, but you can't do anything about it. I don't know. I feel like that's just like a reoccurring theme. Sometimes it's like it's just kind of ugly and you can't do anything because you're just given so much and, or so little, and you can't really work with it.
Well, how do you explain that to the client? Because they're your true stakeholder, right?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times our meetings, they're just like, well, there's nothing, like, this is kind of terrible, but there's nothing you can do about it. Like, it's not your fault. It's just,
okay.
This is just, yeah.
So there's trust there.
So
okay.
they, like, I feel like they understand that we're not purposefully making it ugly. It's just, you're dealt the hand. Yeah. You gotta play with all those things that you have, and sometimes it just doesn't work out very well. Yeah.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about your work, and I think we're all kind of curious to kind of hear, like, what is your approach to your day-to-day work, right? What does your day look like? And you don't need to mention specific clients, but it'd just be nice to know, like, is it a lot of meetings, or is it more heads down time? What does it look like?
I feel like it really varies, like, season to season. So sometimes it's so many meetings, but also so much like you're just heads down working. And then sometimes it's just really chill and still you're just kind of working, but you're kind of just doing your own thing and then shipping it. Well, not like shipping it, but like just handing things off.
Yeah.
Like right now, I guess it's a lot more chill. The winter season is usually a lot more chill than like the summer, fall season for us. So I think, sometimes I'll have meetings in the morning and then I'll just kind of work throughout the day. Sometimes it's really chill that I just kind of do laundry in the middle of the day because I can, or like kind of run some errands. But when it's busy, it's definitely just heads down. Sometimes I'll work like 12 hours a day. There'll just be meetings like back to back. The meetings are more, initially it's like brainstorm meetings and we're all concepting and like throwing things together. And then it turns into like just reviews with different stakeholders that we have. It's like, I think there's like 3 different levels that we just have to go through. So,
yeah.
What does the concepting look like, especially remotely?
Oh, yeah, it's been interesting. Before we used to just like jump into a meeting room and we would draw on the whiteboards, we would just like keep talking, sticky notes everywhere. But now we just jump on, like we use WebEx, so we'll jump on WebEx and just kind of talk through things. Everyone kind of like concepts on their own and then brings it to the table, and then we kind of just collaborate that way. I think at first it was really hard to do that because, WebEx issues, and we were all just like, how do we internet? But I think, my team has definitely like found its groove, and we kind of just work together. We'll Slack and WebEx when we need to. And it's nice.
Cool.
You don't think the quality has changed at all?
I feel like we've made it work
in terms of like what comes out.
Yeah, like I think
that's cool.
We've done a good job at making it work. We've hit all of our deadlines, and like the clients, I think, is happy. Like, I think they're happy. I think we've been doing a good job. So nice. Initially it was really hard, I think. I don't know, we were all just like, how do we do this
for everyone?
It's so hard to like, I don't know, I just know like when we were in the office, it'd be so easy to just like roll over and be like, hey, like, what do you think of this? And then when we were at home, we were just like, it's really hard to contact people, or you're just like waiting for people to respond, and it just does, it feels much more rigid and not as like free flowing. But yeah, I think we've really taken advantage of like Slack and just like, you know, pinging everyone whenever we need to, and it works out now.
Yeah. You all going back to the office anytime soon?
TBD.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no real ETA on that.
Okay.
I feel like we had a date, and then Omicron.
Yes.
And
yes.
so the date has been pushed back, and at least for my team, it's been like, I don't think we're returning back to the office until earliest next year.
Oh, wow.
Or like fiscal.
We like
next
just
year.
started this year.
I know. Or like fiscal next year, so like maybe September or October. But,
Okay.
But I also don't. I don't know. I'm just living every day, day by day, and it's no use stressing about when we're gonna go back to the office. So yeah,
Making it work.
yep.
Yeah, so we have a lot of viewers here who, you know, are always looking for inspiration. So I think we're all kind of curious to hear, like, where do you draw your inspiration from?
I feel like I'm very different from most like web designers, where they have all these different sites that they like go to for inspiration, and I don't really do that. I feel like most of my inspiration comes from like non-web design sources. Like I follow a lot of like illustrators and graphic designers on Instagram, and also just like different creators and makers. Like I like looking at different media for inspiration, and also like nature, like these earrings. I don't know, like I love things, and I feel like it's cool to get inspiration from like different things that are outside of your realm of
The
work.
real world.
So yeah, like these are from Hemleva on Instagram, and she makes really cool like pins and stickers and plant-based things, and I like love plants, and I feel like I get a lot of inspiration from plants and nature and just like being out and about in the world. But also different illustrators and different content creators on Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, those earrings are awesome.
They're so fun. They're just like monsteras.
Yes, they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Love monsteras.
I'm definitely a plant person.
Awesome. Well, one of the questions we have here that we ask the designers who come on are, what are some tips you would give your younger self?
I guess, what would I say to my younger self? I feel like just don't be afraid to explore, you know? Like, I think I kind of put myself into this, like, bubble of, like, I guess initially I didn't really want to be, like, a designer for a living because, you know, like, doctor, lawyer.
Exactly.
Engineer, you know? And I just saw, like, art as a hobby. But now it's my job, so I don't know, like, don't be afraid of, like, kind of picking up a bunch of hobbies and, like, exploring and seeing what works for you. And I think, like, even if you're I don't think all your hobbies should be, like, making you money or whatever, but, like, I feel like it's a good way to diversify your, like, your knowledge or whatever, and also, like, get inspiration from different things. Like, if you kind of like pigeonhole yourself into like, I'm a designer and I don't do anything else, I feel like that's not really great. Like, what if one day you just hate designing and then you have nothing else, you know? So it's like you could I don't know, you could get inspiration from like I like to like cook and bake and stuff, and like I guess that's like that's a different way that you can kind of be creative as well, like playing with your food or like making fun designs in cookies or baked bread or
Yeah. I do like your Instagram
Yeah.
lives when you make food.
I haven't done that in a while.
I know, you need to get back on that train.
You're my only supporter for that. But no, yeah, it's just fun
I'd
to have
watch
different
that.
hobbies and like explore different things, so you're not just stuck in one way of thinking of like design or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that your path to design is very linear, and I think it sounds like you studied design, and then coming out of school, you went into like a design-esque role, and you're
Yeah.
still in it right now. I think for a lot of designers, they haven't necessarily followed that kind of path, right? Like some people have majored in psychology, or have done like completely different things prior to becoming a designer. And I think your advice is really sound in the sense that like trying different things, because you're not going to know what you want to do coming out of college, right? You think you know something, but really you don't really know.
You're so young.
Exactly.
You don't know anything. No, you think you know everything, but then you realize like years later, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I was a baby, didn't know anything, but now I know everything. No, I still don't know anything. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I'm very fortunate that I was able to find a job like in the design field right after college, and I know like a lot of my classmates weren't as lucky, so I know like I feel very privileged to be able to have done that. And like especially for someone who kind of didn't really know what they wanted to do and was expected to kind of do like math, science, doctor, lawyer, engineer sort of thing, like
Yeah.
very lucky to have been able to just kind of go into design and make a living out of it and make my parents proud.
There you go.
Maybe.
The ultimate goal for
Have they ever
That's
said
what
that? I
matters.
don't know, but I'm sure they think it.
Yeah, they don't say it out loud.
They give you cut fruit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will appreciate your very well-rounded perspective about design, Fiona, because, you know, design is about seeing outside of the box, right? And you're stating that you actually don't utilize all of the sources that everybody else normally uses, like websites, whatever else, like web design inspiration comes from, Pinterest. I think that's a hallmark of good design, is being able to pull from the real world. So with that, I think our next question is going to be, what is your take on the future of the design industry from your perspective? Like, what kinds of products do you think we'll be designing in the future?
You know, that's like kind of hard for me to think about, I guess. I just like don't really think about that often. I feel like I've just kind of focused on what I do, and then when it's time to not think about that, I'm just like, okay. But I honestly, like, I feel like we're just gonna be designing websites forever. Like, I know there's a lot of like AR and stuff that's happening, VR, NFTs, crypto things, yeah, just everything. So I feel like just different things in the digital world, but also print still too.
Yeah.
Print's never gonna die.
Maybe print will make a comeback.
I feel like it
Yeah.
never has really gone away.
Huh.
Like, I don't know. Like I majored in print, you know,
Yeah.
that was like a core thing of my major, and like I just remember in one class someone's always just like, print's never gonna go away, because we're always gonna have books. Like, even though we have ebooks, there's still people who prefer like physical copies of books. Newspapers, even though that's kind of dying out too. Like, you know, we've been saying that for the past like 10 years, that newspaper and like magazines or stuff are dying, but they're still around and thriving.
Yeah.
Maybe thriving's not the right word, but they're still around.
They're still around.
Yeah. Thriving's probably the wrong word, but like, yeah, there's still
Totally.
people who subscribe to all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Print's never gonna die. And also like art, you know, like
Yeah.
people are always gonna be buying like art for their homes and walls, and that a lot of that is like print too.
This is true. I mean, when you go to museums, right, it's not like a digital
Yeah.
museum.
Like
Or
there are
s-
some of
there
them.
are some of them
like,
are, yeah.
But like most museums or like gift shops and stuff, you're always gonna buy postcard,
Bookmarks.
souvenir stickers, wall art,
Yeah.
even like tapestries or like, I don't know, printed duvet covers or pillowcases. That's a form of print too, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally.
Just different, yeah, it's on textiles instead of paper.
Very adaptable.
Yeah. So along that same line of thinking, what kinds of problems should we expect to learn to solve for in the near future?
I mean,
So you mentioned AR and
I feel
VR.
like all of that.
Yeah.
The metaverse.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be a big player coming in the next decade or so?
I'm embarrassed to say this, but I feel like I just don't follow much of this. But I feel like it probably will be a thing because it's so like heavily talked about right now.
Yeah.
Facebook Meta and Metaverse and I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of it's gonna be like some form of 3D, VR, AR, Metaverse.
I mean,
all
I
that
think
stuff.
of Ready Player One, and I'm not sure if y'all have
Oh yeah.
seen that movie or read that book, but if it can turn something like that, that would be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, like all those like sci-fi movies and stuff where they have the virtual screens that you just like swipe
Exactly,
and
like
stuff.
a hologram or
Yeah,
something.
or
Exactly.
even like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I don't know, that'd be cool if that becomes a thing one day. And I'm sure there will always be designers and UX designers working together to make that happen.
There you go. That's hopeful.
Yeah.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thanks, Fiona. We have a couple more questions, but they are part of the lightning round that we have at Dream Design Job. And these are just basically really quick questions that you can answer first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So, Patrick, do you want to start?
Yes. All right. First one is your most notable or influential design trend in all of history.
Oh, geez. That's a really long space time frame, but I feel like in the most recent history, I feel like the thing that has stood out to me the most is like parallax. On
Parallax.
websites.
Oh
like,
my
I feel
gosh.
like
Yeah.
when that first came out, I don't know if it was when it first came out, but I remember like Jessica Hish and her fiance at the time came out with her like wedding invite website, and it was just like all this cool parallaxing and effects. And I remember in like one of my classes, like my web design class in college, we were just like, this is amazing. Like we were all just blown away by it, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And we still use parallax like to this day.
Yeah. In less dramatic ways sometimes.
But it's like
Got a lot
sometimes the
less
subtle
dramatic.
things are the best. You
Yes.
don't need it to just be like. Sometimes it's nice to just have like the nice little like, oh, that's really nice. Like
Yeah.
very subtle, very
The
calm.
gentle. Cool. So, next question. In your opinion, what is the most interesting design trend of 2022?
We're only
so
in
far?
February. I mean,
Yeah.
like I think the only thing I can think of right now is like what's going on with like NFTs. Like I don't super follow it, but like I see people talking about it like on Twitter and everything, and I feel like a lot of media is going or becoming an NFT.
That direction.
Yeah. So I feel like that space is
Cool,
gonna blow
cool.
up. I mean, it has already been blowing up.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get bigger.
Probably will.
Who knows?
Where do you go to keep up with visual trends?
Again, I feel like it's kind of the inspiration thing. I just get inspiration and everywhere. I don't know, like so I have
Going
this like
outside.
Chrome plugin called Musely, I guess, that sometimes I use, and it kind of shows you things that are happening in design. So sometimes I look at that and
Yeah. Never heard of it. I'll
Yeah, it's
bookmark
just
it,
like
check it out.
like when you create a new tab, it'll just pop up as Musely, and it's just like a little Pinteresty type feed of like cool design things that have just happened.
Neat.
Yeah.
We'll check that out. I've heard of the panda one. I
Oh,
don't
yeah. It's
remember.
kind of like the panda one. I think the Musely one actually
Okay.
came first, but I don't know. I used Panda first though, and then I switched to Musely.
Okay. Next question. Latest recommended reading or book?
What did I just read? I just read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Weir?
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who wrote The
Oh,
Martian.
the sci-fi
Yeah.
author.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah, if you like The Martian and like how science nerdy technical it is, this one is great. Like, I think it took me a little while to get into it, but once I was like maybe 2 or 3 chapters in, 2 or 3 chapters in, I was just like, oh, I'm so invested.
Yeah,
and then it just gets better.
Yeah, you're the second person that's told me that
Like,
to recommend that book.
I think there was a point like halfway through the book that I just like didn't want to put it down because something just happens and you're just like, I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Now, did you have the digital version or the hard copy?
I have the digital version.
Oh, okay.
I do love having like real books, but it's so easy to just rent Kindle version of books on like through the library. So I definitely do that, and it's nice to travel like with an iPad that has everything. So I'm guilty of not buying books anymore.
We all are.
Yeah, it's just easier.
Yeah. All right, last one. If you could design anything right now, what would it be?
I don't know. I feel like I like drawing things. So, well, I guess right now I've just been like, it's been on like a pause, but I was working on drawing like snacks from my childhood.
Oh.
Yeah, so like
Oh,
Pocky,
cool.
Hello Panda.
Oh, shoot.
So I had a whole like list of things that I wanted to draw, but then I got a little burnt out and I was like, I'm gonna put this on pause. So that is what I'm
Yeah.
designing right now. Just like cool, I guess they're like little passion project illustration things
Yeah.
to like keep me creative outside of web design. Yeah, so flexing a different muscle over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Great.
Snack muscle.
Well, I think that ends it for our lightning round, and I guess we will also end our episode here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Fiona, for being our guest here. And to our viewers out there, please feel free to subscribe to our channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.